Well, happy Monday, everyone. I can't believe the one time that I back off to allow you to start.
That's because you're stuffing your face. That's because you're stuffing your face. And I thought, sod you can do the talking for a second. And I'm jealous because you had a much better breakfast than me. Mine was like completely disgusting. I just gave it to the dog. I did. She'll have it later when she gets out of bed.
I'm sure she'll love it.
Oh, she'll totally love it. Yeah, she'll totally love it. Problem of the day. Straight off.
Oh,
I've got those nice things that you like. What do you call incense sticks? You know, you light them. I like lavender. I love the smell of lavender, right? So I go, but like the ash goes everywhere. What are you supposed to do? You get one of those little wooden things. What's the deal here?
Do you not have an incense holder?
I had to fire her. She went back to Latvia.
Oh, no, I've got a holder.
I couldn't afford it anymore.
A little incense holder, which, like you say, is a wooden sort of.
I'm going to buy one.
With a groove running in it that actually sort of falls.
Groove running in it like a groove. Like a groove. Sorry, I misunderstood. Ed Grossman, good afternoon. Happy Monday. Well, it's not bad. It's not bad. The weather was really lovely to start with. Good afternoon, guys. I'm back. Where did you went off somewhere with your grandchildren? Yes. Which is always it was extraordinary because I can never think of you as a grandmother.
No, me neither.
I can't. Can you ever think of Juliet as a grandmother? It's like this is the last thing you expect. Barry J. Allen. Oh, you'll save every one of us. Hello to you. Sue Sleet all the way from Fife. Hi guys. Ken Elm Janua snort it. Ken Elm Janua's got the new Mini, right? Because he's a player. Did you buy a convertible, Ken Elm? I can't remember. I think you bought a convertible. Now you can just go around going, hello, ladies.
The problem is, Ken Elm, if you snort it, you might become incensed.
Oh. And ladies and gentlemen, that is just a tiny preview of the fabulous humor you're going to be hearing all week. Hey, we've got a big week this week. We got a big week this week. Excuse me. Afternoon, gents. Good afternoon, Alexander Lichtenfeld. Asymmetric hair, huge glasses, living legend. Emma Webb, hello, hi, yo. E Phantom, crazy name, crazy gal. It's good. I wish we could have little theme tunes for all our regulars. It would be brilliant. What can we have from Ken Elm?
Yes, I'm quite pleased we don't have regular theme tunes.
Because you'd be busy. You'd have something to do.
Have repetitive strain injury.
You would. Chrissy Richards, Keith's sister, oddly enough. Not many people knew that. Do you think alcohol should be banned at airports and planes? 2 incidents with Spanish police because 2 drunken people wouldn't wear masks. They wear guns, but no shooting. Who, the passengers? I won't get on a plane if the passengers wearing a gun. The police. They're not going to shoot. They're going to, for not wearing a mask, they're not going to shoot you, are they? Come on, Chrissy. That's a little bit harsh, even by my standards.
I have a very quick answer to that. Do I think alcohol should be banned at airports and planes? Hell no! You're joking me. It's a massive part of the holiday. I do think, though, that people who cannot control their alcohol intake...
just shove them in jail.
I do think those who can't...
Anybody you know?
Control their alcohol intake should.
You've had all morning to eat.
No, I
had all morning to eat.
I haven't.
I don't want any more emails. I'm telling you now.
I haven't had morning to eat. Excuse me.
Why? What have you been doing so busy? It's 12 o'clock. You've had time. If I've had time to go out, do the shopping, sort out an oven elsewhere, realize it wasn't sortable, come back, you've had time to have a sandwich.
You foiled.
What have you been doing? Foiled again.
Yep.
Anthony Horowitz, foils war.
No, you ruined my gag. I was just going to do the what's this? It's foils war. Anyway. Now.
I wrote to Anthony saying that his new cookery detective series, Foils War, had been rejected by ITV. It was a long-standing joke between the two of us. Juliet McDermott. I also had my daughter's birthday yesterday, and the god that is Freddie Mercury.
Yes,
dead.
True.
Dead. Juliet. Had a birthday on Saturday. Watched 1986 Wembley concert as well as the tribute concert, as could not get to the birthday party held each year in Montreux. You're a bit keen, Jules. Bit keen. The
You know how
1986 Live Aid thing, Queen killed it. They were the best.
Yeah, but do you know how
no ifs and no buts. They absolutely that set killed it.
Russell?
Yeah.
Do you know how old Freddie Mercury would have been if he was still alive?
Oh, it's something crazy. It's like older than me, like 70 or something. Would he have been 70?
He would have been, if my maths serves me right, 74.
Jesus.
I know, right? It's a bit
He
nuts.
would have been 74.
Bit nuts.
Best front man ever. No two ways about it. Best front man ever. My favorite Queen concert. I saw loads. I really loved the band. I liked the It's a Kind of Magic. But to me, the best concert they did was the Wembley Arena. If anybody remembers the Wembley Arena, and it was called the Works Tour. Like the period when they did Hammer to Fall and everything. Oh, that was great. That was great. And Brian May, rock god, the most charming man the most charming, delightful fellow you could ever wish to meet. It's extraordinary. And so was the bass player. Back in the day when we all had a life, we used to have dinner together, and he was just such a nice, quiet, charming fellow. Would be dead 30 years next year.
Hang on, what was the bass player's name again? I forgot.
It's driving me mad. I had dinner with him umpteen times. Come on.
Dave, is it not Dave somebody, is it?
No. Juliet, come on, quickly. Bass player. It's completely gone out of my head. I've gone blank. John Deacon. And we sat next to each other having dinner, and he said, Russ, he said, could you remind me, and I so understand, they've been on tour, can you remind me what country we're in? I said, John, you're in London. The most honest human fellow. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd never forgotten. I said, John, you're in London. The most unassuming, quiet fellow. Fantastic to think what he only wrote and the performances that they gave and the crowds they played to. And I love it when somebody's just completely normal. When they're off, they're just normal, quiet, delightful people. Kind of like Rush, who are like one of my all-time favorite bands. You see those guys. I still miss Neil Peart, but those guys, when they're off, are just the most normal guys, and they're one of the best-selling bands of all time. 1984, Wembley Arena was there. I remember you now, Juliet. You were the one going, Freddie, marry me. I was going, I think you're on a bit of a hiding to nothing. Chrissy Richards is back, Keith's sister. I'm referring really to the fact, should our police wear guns? Oh, Christ. I think they should. It's a deterrent. Police wear guns here and very few shootings by police. So here being, Chrissy, remind me, you're in Spain?
Is Spain?
Yeah, she's in Spain. I don't know. I really don't want to get into the should the police wear guns debate because we've got so much to talk about. Hang on. At the Works concert, we're back to Queen. It was Fred's. Oh, you read this out, Phil.
It was Fred's birthday. Someone threw a card on stage that he stopped to open, laughed, and said he could not read out loud as it was too filthy, even for him.
Ah, God.
Good Lord.
Blimey.
I'm only
the imagination runs right
in there.
Now.
And it says she starts her PhD. She started her PhD.
Well, she'll be finished by 5 o'clock.
Well,
what's she doing? PhD on what? Cigars and whiskey. You're a shoo-in. You get a first or whatever you get. I think Juliet McDermott should do a PhD on cigars and whiskey. I would love to get a PhD. It's actually something I've been thinking about a lot. I know it sounds ridiculous, on top of everything else. Just to end my life with a doctor. I don't mean I want to live with a doctor. I mean, it'd be lovely to have doctor in front of my name. That would be so cool. What do you think?
Can't you buy these titles now?
I want to buy it. No, it's just crap. I don't want to buy the, Lord of the Manor, and the Manor is like the glassware zone in IKEA. No, I don't want to buy that. I want to do it. I don't want to do it properly.
My parents have a Lord and Lady title.
Are you serious? I bet they have.
No, deadly serious. And I make no mistake.
I bet they rinse it. I bet they rinse it.
weren't necessarily. No, actually, no. I don't think I've ever heard it mentioned. But they don't necessarily. I don't think they wanted it. I think it was my father that was bought it as a birthday present.
It's quite funny because it's legit. You can put it on your passport, all that nonsense.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't stand up to much scrutiny.
I couldn't tell you where they're Lord and Lady of, but I know they have got. Oh my. Hang on a sec. When I finish, I shall be a Doctor of Letters doing classical literature. My daughter got hers last year, PhD in forensic criminology. Blimey, Julie.
She's Gil Grissom. She's Horatio Kane.
Is that a relative?
No, it was CSI Miami, CSI New York. I can't remember the other one. Matt. Oh man, what was his name? Oh God, there was 3 shows, wasn't there? 3 CSI shows. Anyway, that's not the point. This is not the point. Now, Wednesday's a very big day for us. We're doing a special. And I know that loads of you are going to absolutely love it. Our special guest on Wednesday, Mr. Phil Dave and myself, will be Anna Webb.
Woof, woof.
Probably. Oh, woof, woof, Anna Webb. Woof, woof, Phil Dave. We're just going to steal other people's shows. Sod it. And
hey, it's happened on radio for years. Who cares?
Don't you think? Don't you think? Jonathan Ross stole all of David Letterman's show because we never saw the David Letterman show. When you see his early shows, he's just done a photocopy of a David Letterman show. It's unbelievable. And he's admitted
one of the daftest moments of my life. I possibly just experienced one of the daftest moments of my life. I went to go and scratch my ear, but I ended up scratching the headphones because I had the headphones on. I forgot the headphones were on. Excuse me. That's better. Wow, even that's not happened to me.
Even for you, it is the new depths of stupidity. Fantastic.
Oh, dear.
We'll do it. You're absolutely right. Dave Sleet, and thank you for your messages this one. Dave Sleet's so supportive of Men's Radio Station. Unbelievable. Thank you. Mac Taylor, CSI New York. Ding, 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 ding. Absolutely right. Julie McDermott, no, she's a criminal profiler for the anti-terrorist unit. It's fantastic, as well as teaching criminology at Southampton University.
My God.
You sure she's your daughter, Julia? I mean, we've met you. Just saying.
I can't help but think you must be so ashamed. She just seems so simple.
Yeah, just...
I don't know anyone with that level of brain ability. This is
what the hell? What the hell? Where did she spring from? This brain box. This is fantastic. We love her. Why come we've never met her in the whiskey club? So sweet.
There's a smidgen of me as well that when I hear about people like that who gets a little bit green-eyed monster, I know jealousy is a vile emotion, but it's just because I know that I could never ever achieve anything remotely like that. And I don't want anyone sort of saying, "Oh, you could if you put your..." No, I really can't. The difference is I know my limits, and it's fine. I don't mind knowing my limits, but because I know them, I then recognize when I can sort of get slightly envious of others.
A man's got to know his limitations. Name that film. Sue Sleep, there should not be a general... What's that? No, there should not be a general police being armed. Sue, you've lost me there. Without the psychological and support assessments given our specialist armed officers, it would be like America. I totally agree.
I think what Sue's saying is there shouldn't be a general case that all police officers should be armed without.
Terrible mistake. Because they can get the tactical police.
Oh my.
What's the matter?
Juliet McDermott, my kids are teetotal.
Oh God! Now we don't like them. Now they're boring. They're teetotal. So basically, Julia, as we talk about mental health and well-being, they took one look at you and said, "Whatever Mum's doing, we're doing the opposite." Because of all the things we could say about you, Jules, teetotal isn't one of them. I couldn't be teetotal. Absolutely could not be teetotal. Couldn't happen. Just couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it. Not for me.
I want to know where the expression teetotal comes from. You know, when we used to look at the origins of expressions before we realized before we realized what we're actually here to do. And I was looking, and I don't know where the expression
teetotal. Sam Monroe, you're very, very close. A man's got to know his limitations. You're very close, but think on a little bit. You're nearly there. Right. So let's get back to what I don't know what's going on this morning. So Wednesday, we're going to dedicate an hour to all your questions about dogs. And it's not like, oh, yep, it's specific. And I'll tell you how this came about. Because so many of us during this horrible year, which has been a piece of poo, quite honestly, from beginning to end, have relied on our dogs to keep us sane. And I use the words advisedly. I'd be so lost without Ebony. I wouldn't even know what to do. And I know so many other people, especially people with a little cockapoo, that
How very unfortunate.
What, cockapoo? They're lovely. That's a gorgeous little dog. Gorgeous dog. And so many people have relied on the dogs to keep them sane, to be company, and all of those things. So I'm going to be talking with Phil, because obviously we're both dog mad, to Anna Webb, who's terrific, and she's really good at her stuff. She's not one of these people, and then you think, well, there's no substance here. So ask questions, especially things like, which is the reason we contacted her, is, has your dog's behavior since lockdown changed? Have they started barking when they never used to bark before? Are they picking up on your anxiety? Are they picking up on your tension? So it's very, very specific why we've got her on. It's not just like, oh, we've run out of ideas, let's get someone to talk on about dogs. It's not that at all. Believe me,
I think it goes worse, though. I think the dogs have become clingier during this.
Oh, totally. You see, this is what I want to discuss on Wednesday, Phil. You're absolutely right.
In some really cruel way, and it's obviously no one's intended to be cruel to the dogs, but it's trained them that they won't be left alone. And now
I know. So I think we can get all of these things that we want to talk about with dogs. It's Anna Webb on Wednesday. Get all your questions ready. Think about what you want to ask her. And the beauty of this show with Men's Radio is Magnum Force. Thank you, Sen Monroe. You're absolutely right. Man's got to know his limitations.
Sorry, I've got to tell you this. I've just been researching whilst you were talking there about where the origins of teetotalism comes from.
Well, Dave Sleet's come up with something. Go on.
Not 100% sure whether or not this is actually. Now, Dave Sleet, teetotal from when tea was more expensive than champagne and the rich only gave tea to guests to show their wealth. That's one theory, but then there's another theory that says here, and I would love it if this was true, because my God, what an accolade for someone of this position, who said this says here, it originated, so it is understood, from the landmark with a man named Turner, a member of the Preston Temperance Society, who, having an impediment of the speech in addressing a meeting, remarked that partial abstinence from intoxicating liqueurs would not do. They must insist upon total abstinence.
Ah, so he couldn't get the word total out. They shortened it to T.
Yeah, but they believe that it was actually starting off with it was stuttering on the T. So what they actually mistook it for, I'd love it if this was true, is teetotal.
Really?
That's what they reckon. So actually, total abstinence is what they were what he was trying to say.
You know, you're so classy. I bet it didn't say liqueurs. I bet it said liquors. And I bet it didn't say liqueurs, but you were already with your Avocar and your Baby Sham. I bet, and your Baileys. I bet.
And it didn't help my dyslexia, thank you.
Oh, this is good. Oh, Julia McDermott, serious note. No, my son's dad. How many kids you got, Julia? You look about 28. How many kids you got suddenly? My son's dad is now a sober alcoholic.
Is that an oxymoron?
No, I'm assuming she's been using a proper phrase there because she's very specific with her words. Has been for 12 years. I think that put them both off drinking. Yeah, I can get that.
Wow.
I get that.
Well, bravo. 12 years of being sober. That's very impressive.
Damn good. It's damn
Someone else,
good.
and actually,
I could not stop drinking. I'm telling you now, I couldn't do it. Couldn't.
Oh, do you know what? I've thought of someone I want to go. I'm not going to talk too much about them because I haven't asked them their permission for this. But there's somebody I know who is now sort of in his teetotal himself,
right,
who I didn't even know had a problem back in the day. As in, that was it is literally, I've known him for a few years, never spoke about it or anything like that. But actually, I now recognize that I wish people would talk about it more. I think it's a subject that really remains quite taboo, that people don't talk.
Oh, it's taboo, all right.
But they don't talk
It's
about.
really difficult.
I say substance abuse because it's not. Is alcohol substance abuse?
It's addiction.
Hmm.
It's addiction. You know, the thing is,
We're talking about teetotalism, and you said, "When are we having whiskey?"
idiot. What an idiot.
Anyway, your
Such a
sense of
dick.
timing is impeccable. Anyway,
Well done, Sven. Thank you for ruining them.
anyway,
Here's the thing. Here's the
trying
thing.
this chap.
When you talk about addiction, you think of
I never knew that this chap even had an issue back in the day, and then he suddenly sort of announced it out of nowhere. But actually, what didn't go through my mind is that I must approach him and see if he'll join us on this show, because I think it'd be really interesting to talk to him about it. Anyway,
it would be.
just thinking out loud.
You see, the thing is, because we all drink. I mean, all right, generalization. 98% of the people, you drink, whether it's a glass of wine or whatever you're banging back, right? So you don't think of that in the same light as addiction. Addiction, you think of some poor sod sitting on Charing Cross Road, wrapped in a duvet, smoking a crack pipe. I mean, Phil and I were walking along when we had the studio. We were walking along through cutting through to Soho, right? And there's a woman just lighting up a crack pipe in the middle of the day in Covent Garden. And I was like, what the hell?
Bold as brass, unbelievable.
Didn't give a monkeys, just lighting up a crack pipe. You know, where I live, when I walk the dog, I come back as high as a kite because all you can smell is skunk. And wow, blimey, O'Reilly's smell. It's every 100 yards. Whoa, back it comes. I think the dog and I just float. We just float around South London. Okay, fair enough. That's one thing. Crack pipe is a whole new level of hell. So I've got a friend who knows they've got a drink problem, and when we're out, we talk about it openly, and that's it. But it's very hard when it's a very close friend or it's a relative or something like that. You don't know if they just, Fred Smith, he loves a drink. There's that. And then there's so-and-so where they're a raging alcoholic. It's completely different. I had a business partner who was an alcoholic, dead now, drank himself to death. It was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I can't tell you how horrible it was. One Friday, I just packed my stuff, walked out, and that was it. I couldn't bear it.
I do. There is a real lack of knowledge between the differences, because for me, I know I have a little occasionally, especially during the autumn and winter months. So the daily habit's starting to creep in, a daily habit of enjoying a little tot of whiskey here and there. But I certainly don't wake up craving.
Well, what sort of time?
Well, and bearing in mind I work unusual hours, so I'd say for me probably around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, whereas most people would probably be around 2 hours later, around 5 o'clock. Yeah. But 3 o'clock is kind of my 5 o'clock, just from the hours.
No, it is. It is. You're not making an excuse. It's absolutely right. You've been up since 2 in the morning, for God's sake. You've already done a day's work.
I go to bed
by 9 in the morning. You've done a full day's work, so people forget that.
But I want to go to bed. I also go to bed around 7:30, so I don't want to drink too late in the day if I was going to have anything.
No.
I don't know. I enjoy it, but I don't feel like I depend on it. But then at the same time,
but do you look forward to it?
Yeah, I do.
Me
but
too.
Then I look forward to it, but I don't necessarily crave it. I can't explain it. I feel like I'd miss it if I didn't have it. But then at the same time, I don't think that if someone told me, give it up now or else, that I wouldn't be able to, if you see what I mean. I don't feel like
I think the case of you and I, we both like a drink. We don't crave it. Like our bodies don't. I think the difference is, I'm not being scientific. I'm just trying to be
Paul Andrews.
Real. Yeah.
Paul Andrew asks, do you go days or weeks without the 3 p.m. tipple? Totally. During the summer, I don't drink it at all. I mean, and maybe at the weekends, that's not strictly speaking true. But
and do we know the difference between addiction and dependence when it comes to alcohol? No, I don't. Very good point, Paul Andrews. Have you discussed the difference between addiction and dependence when it comes to alcohol? Yeah, good point.
He says, Mike and her have a 2 sherry glass size of wine and 1 sherry. Mike has a can of beer with lunchtime.
Crazy rebel.
Hope it's not while you're driving the tractor.
It's the wrong one. It's not Chrissy Holt. That's Chrissy Richards. They're different people.
But they both got other halves called Mike.
Maybe I don't know. It's possible. I guess two people called Chrissy could be married to somebody called Mike, unless she's changed her name.
Oh, okay.
Must be a tax thing. It's got to be.
Sorry, I'm not very good with names.
Probably tractor diesel tax fiddle.
I like the social aspect of drinking.
No, I don't particularly. It's odd that I don't. I'm perfectly happy on my own. Drinking doesn't bother me at all. It really doesn't bother me. It's nice, but I don't need to see other people to have a drink. I probably drink less with other people.
I don't need to see other people, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, well, we're out the habit. None of us know what it's like. I mean, this is the whole thing. Phil, no, I don't think he is. That's just you're being silly now.
I'm not on the sauce.
We're from the same family.
I knew it.
We're the same.
FB is Holt, YouTube is Richards. Yes, I knew it was the same person.
That's the weirdest thing. Why'd you do that then? Too many what? Ed Grossman, I can't follow this either. Too many what?
Drinks, maybe. I don't know.
No. What does it mean? Too many. Right, so back. Wednesday. There he is, Mr. Dave, moving like a gazelle in a David Attenborough film.
He's not moving like a gazelle at the moment.
What's the matter with him?
Father has got sciatica.
He's got sciatica. Oh, Jesus.
So he's not moving.
Oh, how's he even moving? Phil, how's he moving? I had that. I've never known such agony in my life. It was terrible.
He's moving very badly.
He's terrible.
Not very happy today.
I bet. When I had sciatica,
it gets on your nerves.
It was absolutely awful. I couldn't move. I couldn't crawl. I've never known. I live in fear of ever getting it back again. And they put me on tramadol. Oh my God, Jesus!
Kindly,
you talk about addicts. It says not to be taken more than 3 days, and I was hooked. It was terrifying. I've never happened to me before in my life. Tramadol. I know some people say, "Well, I've been on it for months." I don't know how you're breathing. They put me on tramadol. I was absolutely in agony in bed, and I was high as a kite on this stuff, and I was hooked. Just started to take it, and then I thought, "Stop! This is a nightmare waiting to happen," and I just stopped. Because thank God I got the strength to do it. But, geez, I really understand how people get hooked on stuff. I really do. Wow, it was scary. And eventually, they had to take me off to hospital, and they gave me a special lumbar spine injection. I still have the side effects. About 10 years ago now, I'm trying to think, 8-10 years ago. Still have the side effects of that injection. Unbelievable. You have to sign your life away. Otherwise, they won't give you the injection. I was in such agony. I agreed to it. And the side effects are still with me. Unbelievable. 10 years later from one injection. There you go. Right.
And
what does Paul say?
Lots of people are alcohol addicted, and you wouldn't realize it as it's a socially acceptable drug. Not necessarily a problem, but exploring the reasons why they are would be far more beneficial for their mental health. Quite right.
Totally so. Can't argue with any of that, Paul. Absolutely. You're bang on there. You're bang on. Yeah.
Tramadol is the medication of the devil.
It's you've got to be so careful. Wow. If your doctor ever gives you more than 3 days worth, you've got to say, what the hell's he doing? I've never known anything like it, honestly. It was shocking.
Chrissy over in Spain says, Russ, are you taking turmeric? I have no pain in my joints. I can walk better. Tramadol is worse than heroin.
Well, it's not to be taken lightly, but I was in agony. I mean, it was absolute agony. Am I taking turmeric? No, I'm sort of taking everything else. Everything else. We've got a fabulous new show coming up on Men's Radio. We're going to be looking at all of this. I don't want to spoil it yet. Right. So don't forget, Wednesday, there's a couple of things I do want to talk about. Wednesday, Paul, it attacks stress. Do you mean stress? I'm really confused here. Ed Grossman, Paul, it attacks. Do you mean stress? Ed, help us out. Wednesday, Anna Webb, dogs.
Well, apparently, Stess is a digital marketing and music company created by Jessica Cade in 2005. The firm specializes in helping musicians and gaining more online exposure through the use of optimized digital methods. I'm guessing that Ed Grossman didn't mean that.
He could do, because he's been associated with the music industry for many years. He's highly regarded.
Maybe.
It could be. Now, yesterday afternoon, I launched something, and I don't often ask for all your help.
Was it a rocket?
Was it a what?
Was it a rocket?
Yes, I decided to become Elon Musk of South London.
Okay.
I've managed to raise several $1 billion, and I'm on a race to Mars.
That would be nice.
We're launching from Streatham Common. I'm sure there won't be any problems from the council. Now, God, Russ, you need to follow the thread. This comes out, Ed. I know you think we're thick as shit, but we're trying to. It doesn't go in time. There's a different time. There's a different time thing. Oh, Paul Andrews, you need to read this out before we get on to the next subject. I'm coming from the background. You better get that up on the screen. Jeez.
Background of being a drinker, a heavy drinker, an alcoholic, having an alcohol dependency, and then eventually a dry, happy person in that order. Bravo, Paul.
Wow. Paul, if you ever want to come on and talk about just that, you'd be very welcome, because that is it's a huge issue. It's a huge issue, and a lot of people shy away from it because we all drink, whereas we all don't sit there injecting heroin.
Ramsey, a friend of his, drank every night after work without much thought, probably, but then read an article about alcohol and determined that his consumption classified him as a functioning alcoholic. He changed his approach shortly thereafter. Wow.
Well, I think if we did a poll of listeners to men's and women's radio, what do you think the percentage would be of people say they have a drink in the evening? I'm not going to say after work, because God knows what that means anymore. What would you say? I would say 80%, possibly higher. I think you look forward to it. If you're not sitting there, incoherent mess, where's the harm? I mean, that's honestly how I feel.
But
where's
isn't
the
it
harm in a couple of glasses of wine?
I don't want to sound like a bit cliche here, but isn't it a case of just everything in moderation?
Yes, no, it's not a cliche. It's true. And also, you pick up the papers. Oh, glass of wine's good for you. Then the next week, no, glass of wine's going to kill you. Coffee's good for you. No, don't have coffee. You'll drop dead. Who the hell knows? We're all going to die of something. You might as well have some fun. That really is my philosophy. And especially this year, and I know Phil's been in the totally dogs and drinks. What more do you want?
That's my life.
That is it's me too.
Martini and dogs.
But I'm not trying to mend ovens.
And also, may I just say as well, a dog that's well dressed as well.
Yeah, so it's a well-dressed dog with rather cheeky cocktails there. Got to go. Stay safe. Bye, Sen. God bless. Susli, 95% of social workers. Now, are you saying they have a drink of an evening? Because their job's blooming stressful. Blooming stressful. Do you think Sen's going to come back on Wednesday so he can talk about Ziggy with Anna Webb?
I hope so.
Questions asked. Yeah.
Excellent work. Paul, I'd love to come on sometimes to explore the difference between dependence and addiction. I was once told at A&E by a doctor to go home and buy a bottle of vodka quick, or I might have a seizure and die. To be told that by a doctor makes you realize the difference.
Now, many times we've had guests on men's radio, and they have said, and these are experts as well, that withdrawing from alcohol is harder than withdrawing from drugs. Which Phil and I, just being kind of civilians, going, that can't be right. And then we checked it with other experts. It's absolutely true. Trying to come off serious alcohol addiction is much more dangerous than coming off drugs. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. And what that doctor said to Paul Andrews is also true. If you suddenly say, I'm going to stop drinking, your body can't take it. Your body actually can't take it at all. Here we go. Let's read. Phil, do you want to read Ramsey's comment? This is very interesting. I'm finding this really interesting. A functioning.
This is where we're going today, either.
No, I don't know, but this is really interesting stuff. Go on.
This is one of these ones we've got to peer over the wall. Hang on. There we are. Right. A functioning alcoholic is termed by the NHS as someone who may seem So I should say, by the way, this is from Ramsey, who may seem to have it all together on the outside, but is suffering from the physical and emotional effects of alcohol. It's the irregular amount being consumed that determines the classification. Thank you, Ramsey. Goodness.
Do you know, it's interesting. Tell me something. Here's a question for you, Phil. If you had a friend, if you were sitting having lunch or dinner with a pal, say it's not somebody you don't know, because obviously this question would be ridiculous, but someone you've known for a long time, and you thought, Jesus, they're banging it back. I mean, like, really? Would you say something?
Oh God, I don't think.
Would you say so? Would you say something?
Yes or no answer.
But don't make it a personal thing. Make an objectional thought. You know, a random. Don't think of somebody specific.
If I didn't know how to approach someone, but I was concerned enough, then perhaps I would say I would seek out professional help to see how
you're sitting opposite your pal, and they're absolutely hammering it back. Would you say something? Your dad today is like a jack in the box, isn't he? He's in out.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, because I would say I don't think I'd like anyone saying that to me, but then I would want someone to say it to me if it got out of control.
Why wouldn't you want anybody saying it to you? Because you'd be offended, but you'd know they're right.
Yeah,
that's talking about when you and I used to mess around in the whiskey club, and you know.
No, but
what would we have? 3? That would be it. 3. We weren't driving, we weren't going anywhere. So maybe we wouldn't go have more than that, would we? Seriously, we wouldn't. That would be it.
No, I know. 3, no, I think if someone, this sounds really awful. If someone meant enough to me, I'd say something. I think. If they fought back, then I'd probably back off. Because actually, do you know what?
Would you know? Are you doing them a favor? Are you doing them a favor if you back off?
No, hang on a second, but you don't understand. I actually have. It's just suddenly reminded me. I have actually sort of gone quite far before. So once with somebody who I thought was completely and utterly done in, who I thought had drunk far too much, and I was trying to look out for them, trying to reassure them and say, "Look, come on, maybe enough now. It's time to back off." Not joking, in the drunken stupor, threw the glass at me.
Did they ever apologize? And are you still friends?
Yes, still friends. No, didn't apologize because I didn't ever tell them, because I thought there's no way they'd remember doing that, because that's how.
This is the thing. They have absolutely no memory.
And I thought it would be very unfair.
I've done
in that position where they felt that awful about it, and I know they would have felt awful if they'd realized they were doing that.
It's just a curious thing. It's like, are you insulting somebody, or if you really care for somebody, would you reach out? And I think if you really care for somebody deeply, if it's somebody you don't know, and look, all of us have been to those business lunches with some idiot who's like drinking from Europe, and you think, one, I don't want to do business with this guy, and please get me out of here as soon as possible. I don't care. I'm probably never going to see them again. I don't really know. Not my problem. Sorry to be brutal, but it's not. You can't change the whole world. But if it's somebody you really care about deeply, then you would say something, because to lose them would be horrible. And then if you lose them, you'd say to yourself, why didn't I say something? And then you'd feel dreadful. That's the point. That is the point. Paul Andrews.
But then hang on, actually, is that not being selfish then?
Well, maybe, but you know, what you're saying something because you don't want them to go.
No, but if your primary concern is, if I didn't say something to them, would something happen, and then would I be able to live with that? Then maybe that's the wrong motivation for saying something.
Well, it's a motivation. It's a factor. You know, not everything in life is just black and white. You know, there's grey areas. It's never that simple. It's not a 90-minute movie which has a wonderful finish, you know, in a three-act drama. Life's really sodding complicated. That's all there is to it. It's a very complicated business. And that's it. So there's all sorts of things come into play. You want the best for them. You want the best for the both of you. You want the best for their family. And then you have self-guilt. You know, there's all sorts of issues which come into play. Russ, chances are the best friend is in the same boat or a similar one. It could be. I mean, who the hell knows? No one knows what goes on behind closed doors. Paul Andrews. Paul, you're being really great today. Thank you so much. He had 3, and Paul's saying, I had 3 seizures whilst in Ked. Jesus. And on anti-alcohol medication, drying out can be tough. I'm absolutely honest. It was my ignorance, and I'm the first to hold my hand up. It was my ignorance thinking, oh, you could just stop drinking. And when you're as bad as, and Paul, forgive me, but you've been very open, clearly the state that you were in and the amount of alcohol you were consuming, to try and stop, it is very dangerous, very physically painful, and really has to be monitored. Oh, what is that noise?
Noise.
I don't know what's going on. Sounds like a helicopter.
Paul Claridge says that I would love to hear David Charkham's take on this issue of drinking. Every day at East Croydon, I see the effects alcohol has on people, but there is a difference between a drunk and an alcoholic. I've known several alcoholics, and they seem to be under control of their functions and behavior because perhaps that's how we always see them. A drunk is someone who is sober most of the time and then behaves differently when they've had a few. Some are happy drunks, but others are nasty drunks who want to fight with people like me handing out newspapers. P.S. I drink socially, and when I do, which isn't often, I only have a couple of pints of Guinness. Yes, Paul, thank you. A pints of Guinness, as I like to enjoy myself without getting drunk. Quite right.
I don't believe that. I think they're chopping trees.
Oh, it's definitely coming from your end.
Hang on, I think they're chopping.
You know how we can prove this? I'm going to press the button now. There you go. That cut. Oh, isn't that blissful? I've just cut Russ's microphone, and you see, by doing that, I can now no longer hear that problem. So there you go. It's definitely Russ's end of the problem. Oh, well, never mind. He's going to go and deal with that now. Mind you, I say he's going to go and deal with it. What's he going to do? He's going to go and tell them, stop cutting down trees. We're live until 1 o'clock. Anyway, Juliet McDermott says that let's have a look and see. Good God. Juliet says, hang on, I'm going to wait for Russ to put his headphones back on because I think he'll want to hear this as well. So Juliet...
They're cutting trees.
Yeah, Juliet says, my son's dad was head of security at Halliburton Oil. Don't know what that...
Oil. Wow. Halliburton, yes. Huge.
Okay, drank a bottle of vodka each morning before work.
Oh, my God.
Whoa. Crumbs.
Jesus. Bloody hell.
But I'm guessing, Juliet, I'm guessing that's the same person that you said has now been sober for 12 years, or at least I hope it is. So there you go.
Now, here's the thing. God, this is such an interesting conversation because we didn't expect this was going to happen. It wasn't even the subject. I wonder if your ex-husband, he did it because he hated the job or didn't think he could do the job and had self-doubts or had to boost himself. I wonder why that was. Not for me to conjecture. I didn't know the chap. It wouldn't be fair for me to say, but God, how could he function? How could he even find his way to work?
That's amazing.
It's weird, isn't it? Both Phil and I like drinks.
It's amazing. But I say amazing. I hope he didn't sort of put himself or others at risk by doing that, in so much as that was he as able to be in charge of a security position if he did that? And furthermore, as Russ says, how did he get to work? I hope he didn't drive to work.
Well, this is the thing. Halliburton, if you don't know, they're absolutely huge. They're a gigantic company, and I don't think they'd be that lenient if you taught. So he obviously, I'm just thinking I can just about manage a coffee in the morning. That's it. The thought of literally, and I'm not making light of this, and I know Phil and I both like a drink. The thought of sitting there drinking a bottle of vodka
ever.
I could never do it ever. I just couldn't. Not because we're patting ourselves on the back. I physically couldn't do it.
And actually, I know I physically couldn't do it because there was one time when it was my cousin's.
Oh, have you seen Juliet's comment though? Oh dear. My son's dad started drinking when his first marriage broke down after his daughter died, aged 3. Oh, God.
Blimey.
You see, everything has a story.
Mm.
That is the magnificence of when we do this radio stuff. We sit here and everyone's got a story, and that is just like, wow.
Do you know what? Actually, that's reminded me.
Everyone's nightmare, isn't it? Everyone's nightmare.
Do you know what? That's reminded me. Hold that thought for heaven's sakes, because please remind me to tell you the story about my cousin's 40th. But let's put that to one side, because actually what that's reminded me also is this most amazing documentary. I know it's not Friday. I know we're not talking television, but this documentary that I saw over the weekend called, it was called Father, Soldier, Son.
Mhm.
Now, I don't want to give too much away of this, but if you do have, and I'm sorry, it's going to be an advert for Netflix again, but if you do have access to Netflix, for heaven's sakes, please watch it. But I'd have to warn you that it does come up with this appropriate warning at the beginning. If you are of a sensitive nature, you will find some of it very harrowing to watch, okay? But it's called Father, Soldier, Son. And you just look at people like those who are in that documentary, and you think, how much does one family have to go through in a lifetime?
Ugh.
It's absolutely unbelievable and unfair how much some people have to endure. That's all I'm going to say about it, because it would give too much away. If you do get the chance to watch it, please do. It was incredible. But I have to tell you, for about 24 hours afterwards, it had a really, really bad effect on me. I didn't know these people. It's not even anyone well known, but just knowing that some people go through what they go through made me feel really rough afterwards. But anyway, sorry.
And it was obviously a very well-made documentary if it affected you like that.
Very well. And
The comments are storming in here. Chrissy Richards, a man I knew drank 3 bottles plus of whiskey every day. Jesus. But didn't die till he was 80s. I presume everything was in formaldehyde. Nothing could go wrong. And Paul Andrews. Oh, Paul, this is Paul, you are being so brave. And on behalf of Phil and I and all the team at Men's Radio, thank you. You're being so open and honest. I used to have to do a quarter of a bottle of vodka to be able to hold a mouse and do my emails. I certainly didn't look drunk. Wow, Paul. Jeez. All credit to you for sorting yourself out. I mean, honestly, it's heroic. It's a titanic struggle. And you are to be, well, whatever I say sounds so pathetically condescending, but you just to be congratulated. I don't know how you've done it. That's shocking. You had to do a quarter of a bottle of vodka just to hold the mouse on your computer. Christ, man.
So this is why, where I was saying before about my cousin's 40th, this is why that kind of thing blows my mind. Because I remember when it was my cousin's 40th, it was at their house, and it was a bit of a free-for-all in terms of the bar. They just had, everyone was encouraged, bring a bottle with, bring a bottle, you know how it is. And then about 40 to 50 people. So, of course, if everyone brought a bottle, you could imagine there was a lot of alcohol flying around. Yeah. Anyway, and that was on top of the alcohol that they'd provided. Any odd way. What happened is that I remember that I had gone through 3 glasses of Brut of champagne, 2 glasses of pink champagne.
Nice. Good. Okay.
I had gone through 2 glasses of vodka tonic, 5 shots of neat vodka. And at that stage, I started swigging vodka from the bottle.
You, Mr. Pedantic?
Started swigging.
I'm bringing my own knife and fork to dinner.
Yeah, started swigging vodka from the bottle, and needless to say, it ended up
badly.
Terrible, terrible mess. I mean, I can only say that I managed to, in one evening, single-handedly destroy my cousin's newly painted decking in the garden.
Oh,
I won't say any more than that.
Oh.
Don't remember the cab journey home because I blacked out. When I got home, I just remember making this awful groaning sound as I got out of the cab, making my way to the house. But this
is every time I stand up.
All I know, heaven knows how many neighbors I woke up. I dread to think. But luckily, they never said.
So unlike you. I mean, you and I like a good time, but wow, that is so unlike you. Ed Grossman's comment is so true. Phil, you didn't have a smoked salmon bagel with that?
Anyway,
I think in another life, if they could, Phil Dave would freebase smoked salmon.
But I was
in Covent Garden, with a crack pipe of smoked salmon. That's how he would be.
I was suitably punished for that.
I bet. What happened? I bet you felt like you were going to die.
I'm not joking. A 3-day hangover.
Yeah,
and it
I bet.
absolutely served me right.
Hmm.
And I've never drunk like that since. Absolutely unbelievable. I would never. I actually now have come to a conclusion. Actually, that was a life lesson. I've come to the conclusion there's absolutely no point whatsoever to drink to get drunk. If you have a drink because it's a social occasion, you're enjoying yourself and great, lovely, get a bit merry. Who knows? Why not? But drinking to get drunk.
No, I've never understood that.
No point.
I don't know. I think that's just the sign of the way people are wired. To go and have a drink because I really like the taste, and it goes with whatever's going on. Lovely. I like that. But I've never gone out, I've got to get drunk. I don't get that.
Juliet McDermott, when I was 21, I was dead to drink as many drinks as I was old. I drank Pernod. Is that Pernod?
No.
Pernod, I beg your pardon. Never heard of it. I drank.
Not. Jesus. Like rocket fuel. Like rocket fuel. It's like rocket fuel.
Okay. I'm sorry. There it goes to show how uncultured I am. I drank Pernod at the time, and most were double. How I managed not to die, I don't know. I dared 2 guys to strip to see who had the hairiest chest. Is that a euphemism? And went home with the winner.
We've been missing out at the Soho Whiskey Club because she's obviously a bit of a goer. We've missed out. We have missed out on months of fun.
Should we see who's in line to win, Russ?
Yeah. We've completely missed out on this. We're idiots, the pair of us. We could have been having a hell of a good time.
Phil Jones has added to the conversation. Hello.
Hello, and much cheaper.
Thank you.
Now, I just want to, have I got time? Yes, I have. Right. Yesterday afternoon. What's going on?
Loads of time.
Yeah, we have. Yesterday afternoon, we launched something on men's radio, which goes across on women's radio as well. A GoFundMe page. Never done this before. Didn't really know what the heck I was doing. I put it all together and bounced it back between the other directors of the companies, and everybody's happy, and bounced it with somebody else to make sure that they were happy, and it went backwards and forwards like a tennis match with Rafa Nadal. And anyway, it is up. Now, and I'm going to talk about this again, undoubtedly, but I just want to run this past you. You make, it's kind of your radio stations. Without you, we're nowhere. Your contributions, I mean, today's a typical example. Phil and I start off, we don't know where we're going, we're just having some chit chat, and then boom, somebody hits on the subject, and everybody just jumps in with their views and their amazing stories and anecdotes and wisdom. The reason we have started the GoFundMe page is that it's perfectly obvious to anybody in these times of COVID and everything else that our advertisers and sponsors have headed for the hills because they got their own problems. I live in the real world. Phil lives in the real world. My business partners live in the real world. We understand that. They got their own problems. They're worried about their own company's survival. So the advertising obviously went, and our sponsorship sadly went. But no point moaning and groaning about it. It's a fact of life. So we've kept going, and we've been just putting the money in ourselves, the 3 of us. Now, and that's not a clap on the back, it's just how things work, because we have a small staff plus all the ancillary costs. What we want to do, our next goal, is to create an audio library. Now, in case that sounds a bit fancy, this is the plan. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of programs that we've done in the past, covering all sorts of specific subjects. And what we want to do is to take those programs, edit them all, and then on our website on Men's and Women's Radio, so that you could go to any specific subject: depression, suicide prevention, bullying at home, domestic violence, whatever it might be, anxiety, alcoholism, addiction, whatever. Depression, of course, Alzheimer's, dementia. All of those programs need to be listened to and then divided up, and then everybody can then go and just free. There's not going to be any charge. There's no charge whatsoever. You'll be able to go and listen to it as a podcast, whatever you need to get advice on. That's the goal. That's the next stage of the development of men's radio and women's radio. That's what we're aiming for. Now, to do that, I got to bring people in. There's no point saying, well, I'm going to do it. I can't. I'm at max. Phil's at max. Bless him. He does everything. He's working 28 jobs a day. And everybody else, we can't. I've got to bring a team in to do that. And that needs money. So that's really why we're doing GoFundMe. And I just want to say one thing, and to make it clear, I've said it in the past, but myself, Howard, Phil, of course, but my co-directors, which is Penny Horner and Howard Jameson, we've never taken a penny from this, not a cent. Neither would we, because we believe that.
Might I stress, that's not the idea either. I don't actually understand sort of how, and I'm going to be perfectly blunt. This is, again, not trying to pat you on the back or blow smoke or anything like that. This is
just if you did it, you see.
No, but this is kind of me just saying it how I see it. I've never understood how anyone can be so invested in something when they know there will be no financial reward from it. And that's for all three of you. It's extraordinary. It's how I know that you do this for the love of what you do and the passion that you have behind the subject matter.
Well,
speaking of mind.
That's very, very kind, and I appreciate that, Phil. Thank you very much. That means a lot. I am passionate about it. We are passionate about it. Phil's passionate about it, and the reaction we get, even from today, is an absolute prime example. You just have to touch on a subject, boom, everybody gets involved. So that's why we've started the GoFundMe page. I'm not asking for gazillions of pounds. Everyone's thinking, how the hell am I ever going to work again? Honestly, I understand that we live in the real world. $5, $10, whatever you can afford. Fantastic. All you do is click on, make a donation. Boom. Thank you very much. And that means we can go into the next stage of men's and women's radio. End of plug, end of commercial. I will no doubt discuss it again in the future, but thank you so much. Hang on. I can introduce you to my son to help with the IT or give you advice on where to go to get help setting up the podcast. Oh, Juliet, we'll take you up on that. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Sandra Butler, a very lovely person. Afternoon all. Good afternoon to you, Sandra. Where's the link for the GoFundMe, Glassy Amanda? It's Phil's, with his technical wizardry, has shoved it up everywhere. But you can go onto our website. You can go onto my Facebook page, my Twitter page. It's everywhere. What's this? I do a radio show every Sunday and have reached my 100th show on Sunday. I do it for nothing because my passion is music. Françoise Pascal. Who knew she was Polish?
Quite.
My fantastic French accent. Yeah. Because your passion is music. Good. You gotta follow your passions. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Sandra Butler, who's a very, very interesting human being, it has to be said, messages me a lot with such interesting stuff. Money isn't everything. Some things you just can't buy. That is true. You can't buy happiness, although it's easier to be happy in nice surroundings, I always say. I will go fund shortly. Oh, bless you, Françoise. Thank you very much. Yes, what's the show called, Françoise? It's called Ma French Musique. It's called Mind Your Music. I just made that up. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Mind Your Music. That would work. God, that's nearly the end of the show. I can't believe it.
And the crowd went wild.
And they went, oh, really? Okay. You've been fantastic today. Thank you so much. It was and Paul Andrews. I'm not just picking on Paul Andrews. Everyone's been great, Juliet, everybody. But it's Paul Andrews. Thank you for being so honest. And what I would say is your honesty encourages so many other people, because people just think, oh, it's just them. And then you read a story and discuss a story like yours, Paul, and it's like, wow, okay, I get it. And it gives people perspective. It really does. And you can't, I don't think you can find that many other places. I really don't. People don't want to do that. They want to put on a mask. And as someone once said, you put on that mask and eventually the mask eats your face off. It's called the Françoise Pascal Show. That must have taken some time to come up with. Françoise on Radio Scarborough. Get you. How cool is that, Françoise? I didn't even know that. Thank you very much, Ed. That's a very nice comment. Bless you. Appreciate it. Appreciate your company as well. That's the hope. Well, Paul, you should be very proud of yourself. Sounds so patronising, Phil. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to put it in another way that doesn't sound so BBC patronising nonsense, but you should be proud of you.
Why not join us again on Wednesday? We'll see you at midday then with Anna Webb. See you then.
Anna Webb, woof woof.